fellow rangers, welcome back to another kit build video. Essentially today, normally, we only do the history of one aircraft. Normally. But I've had a bit of very good luck thanks to Airfix, and normally you would expect this history video to be on the recent build, which was the Westland Wasp by LF Models. Yes, that is going to be the case. It is going to definitely still be the history video of this Wasp. But the reason why I didn't do a history video as of yet of the Hurricane that we've recently done, simply because of the fact that in my eyes, it wasn't really finished. Because I had some issues with the water slides. But massive thank you to Airfix and their supply department. They have finally gotten back with me literally this week. And I've been able to finally finish our Hurricane. So we can actually do the history video of it, knowing that it's got all its water slides on here. Literally what happened was the letters went wrong when I was trying to fit them before, and I didn't have any luck, and unfortunately they got messed up. But a bit again, I know I've said this already, but a big thank you to Airfix for supplying new lettering. It's been bugging me ever since it had happened, and it's essentially I'm so pleased to have it done at long last. So I think the great Sir Sidney Cam's Hurricane will be talking about the history of it first, as essentially this was what would have been before the Lynx and then the Wasp. That's regarding our videos that I've put up. But so essentially this should have had its history video well before now. So right, let's get on with the history of the Hawker Hurricane Mark 1. Essentially, obviously we'll go to that bit now in a moment, but fun fact, there was more Hurricanes in the Battle of Britain than there was Spitfires. Simply because of the construction of the Spitfire was all metal, whereas the Hurricane still had metal frames and wood covered with fabric. So essentially that was a little bit less complicated and easier to build, so they were able to build them out faster than the Spitfire. But of course, with the elliptical rings of Reginald Joseph Mitchell, people love those wings, and I'm one of them. But the Hurricane did play a very big part in the Battle of Britain, and before that, regarding the Battle of France and the very early days. And pretty much essentially the Hurricane was out essentially a year before the Spitfire. So, right, let's get on with the history. I know that somebody, if he is watching, don't worry, I'm not reading it out. I'm having the AI do it for me.
The Hawker Hurricane is a British single-seat fighter aircraft of the 1930s-40s which was designed and predominantly built by Hawker Aircraft Limited for service with the Royal Air Force, RAF. It was overshadowed in the public consciousness by the Supermarine Spitfire during the Battle of Britain in 1940, but the Hurricane inflicted 60% of the losses sustained by the Luftwaffe in the campaign, and fought in all the major theaters of the Second World War. The Hurricane originated from discussions between RAF officials and aircraft designer Sir Sidney Cam about a proposed monoplane derivative of the Hawker Fury biplane in the early 1930s. Despite an institutional preference for biplanes and lack of interest by the Air Ministry, Hawker refined its monoplane proposal, incorporating several innovations which became critical to wartime fighter aircraft, including retractable landing gear and the more powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. The Air Ministry ordered Hawker's interceptor monoplane in late 1934, and the prototype Hurricane K-5083 performed its maiden flight on 6 November 1935. The Hurricane went into production for the Air Ministry in June 1936 and entered squadron service in December 1937. Its manufacture and maintenance were eased by using conventional construction methods so that squadrons could perform many major repairs without external support. The plane was rapidly procured prior to the outbreak of the Second World War. In September 1939, the RAF had 18 Hurricane-equipped squadrons in service. It was relied upon to defend against German aircraft operated by the Luftwaffe, including dogfighting with Messerschmitt Bf 109s in multiple theaters of action. The Hurricane was developed through several versions: bomber interceptors, fighter bombers, and ground support aircraft as well as fighters. Versions designed for the Royal Navy known as the Sea Hurricane had modifications including an arrestor hook near the tail, enabling operation from ships. Some were converted as catapult-launched convoy escorts. By the end of production in July 1944, 14,487 units had been completed in Britain and Canada, with others built in Belgium and Yugoslavia.
Right, fellow Rangers, now it's time to do the history segment of our Hurricane, which is L1679. This Hurricane here, our one. So, right, should be an interesting, it's short, but it's sweet. And there is, well, you could, not sweet, you know what I'm on about. But it is an interesting tale, and I will go into it more after this history.
Hawker Hurricane MKI L1679 was delivered to No. 1 Squadron at RAF Tangmere in early 1939 and served with the unit in France at the start of World War II. It was involved in combat operations during the German Blitzkrieg through the Low Countries in 1940. L1679 was damaged during a crash landing at Mézières on May 10, 1940, and subsequently destroyed on the ground 4 days later. The Tangmere Military Aviation Museum has a replica of L1679 that was built in the 1980s and is used for static display and as a film prop.
Right, fellow Rangers, it's a shame that our aircraft didn't survive the war, but at least there is a replica in the honour of the pilot as well. Or one of the few, as you could say. As Winston Churchill said, there's so much owed from so many to so few. Battle of Britain, Winston Churchill. Churchill was a legendary man, and regardless of what anyone says, he brought this country and helped us essentially through the war. Fair enough, he liked his cigars and his drink. But he's a legend. But we're not talking about Winston Churchill today. We're talking about this Hurricane. I'm glad that there is a replica of this precise aircraft, and there was photos of the replica in the video. That segment we just seen just a moment ago. So thank you, Hurricane, for all your service. It's yes. This would have been a starter set kit of the Hurricane, and because this part was separate to this, I was able to essentially make it so it looks like the canopy is open so that the pilot had extra visibility to look around him. So right, that's our Hurricane. On to now, which is I have given this company plenty of time, LF models, plenty of time to comment on the email, but the no comment as of yet. I will just double check while I'm on camera. I will check the channel email, which is lonerangervideo@gmail.com. If you got any, if you got any model photos of model kits that you've done, I'd love to see them. So it's in the description below. So please, if you do got any photos you want to send, and essentially send me any photos to for me to have a look at, by all means, please send them. I'd love to see them. But as of at this moment, and it probably it's not gonna go. Yeah, it's not gonna work. At the moment, I have not received an email from their company, so I'm probably not going to. But I wanted to give them the chance to do so, as it's only fair. Because it's a shame, really. As soon as I seen the Wasp as in the kit, I was really looking forward to doing it because I'd learnt all the history on the Wasp, and no other manufacturer that currently makes it. There was an Airfix Westland Scout, which is essentially what the Wasp is. The Wasp is a naval version of the Scout. But unfortunately, I couldn't find one of the Scout. So I found this one, thinking for the price it would be a good kit, but turned out no. And it's a shame, really. It does look nice, but there's a lot of things I wouldn't recommend for anyone to be doing on them. It's just no. It's a shame. Absolute shame. None of it fitted properly. None of it came together well enough to warrant anything. It was a fight from start to finish, and I'm quite glad I finished it. It's been a major disappointment from start to finish. It's been a massive fight. Even the water slides are that terrible on it. Just absolutely beyond a joke. But we'll leave the kit alone. The actual kit, we'll leave that be. Because we're not here about that now. We're here about this little aircraft. First, we will do the history of the Wasp. And then I will tell you briefly what happened to our little Wasp. Beautiful aircraft, a shame what happened, but I won't say no more. Time for the history, fellow Rangers.
The Wasp Has.1 was introduced to service in the small ship's role in 1964, after an intensive period of trials by 700W Intensive Flying Trials Unit between June 1963 and March 1964. It served in this primary role with 829 Naval Air Squadron, but also in training units to supply crews for the front line with 706 NAS between 1965 and 1967 and in 703 NAS between 1972 and 1981. Single airframes also served for light liaison duties in the Commando Assault Squadrons, 845 NAS and 848 NAS, until 1973. Although effective as a submarine killer, it was best deployed paired with a Wessex Has.3 submarine hunter. In the late 1970s, the Westland Lynx started to replace the Wasp. On April 25, 1982, the Argentinian submarine ARA Santa Fe was spotted by a Wessex helicopter from HMS Antrim. The Wessex and a Lynx Has.2 from HMS Brilliant then attacked it with depth charges, a Mk-46 torpedo, and also strafed it with general-purpose machine gun. A Wasp launched from HMS Plymouth and two Wasps launched from HMS Endurance fired AS.12 anti-ship missiles at the submarine, scoring hits. Santa Fe was damaged badly enough to prevent her from submerging. The crew abandoned the submarine at the jetty on South Georgia and surrendered to the British forces, thus becoming the first casualty of the Sea War, as well as the first direct engagement by the Royal Navy Task Force. The last Wasp was withdrawn from service in 1988 when the last of the Type 12 Rothsey-class frigates was decommissioned. RND/D October 23, 1965. 700 WSQ Aurora FLT/185, 829 SQ/455 by 1965. Paris Air Show Exhibit H96 in 1967. 829 SQ Danae FLT/464 by September 1967. Ditched September 6, 1969, to RNAY Fleet lands for rebuild, Naishu Leon Solant by May 1972. Redelivered to Portland by September 1972. 829 SQ Nubian FLT/457 by October 1972. 829 SQ RIL FLT/446 by January 1973, still September 1974. 829 SQ Brighton FLT/461, BR by August 1975, panel swap with XT443 around March 1976 to /452, BR, still September 1977. October 21, 1978 AEGDT noted in store RNAY Rotten coded 452X829 NAS 829 NAS. 1979 to 2008 August 79 S/BR 452-829 SQ 034 flight on HMS Brighton F106 during Plymouth Navy Day. 829 SQ Brighton FLT/461 BR by 1980. 829 SQ Leander FLT/476 LE by May 1984, still 1985. Struck off charge April 1987. To RNZN.
Right, fellow Rangers, it is a shame, again, what happened with this aircraft. It was struck off and then essentially stripped down for parts. Right, so it was an absolute shame. Another beautiful aircraft being cut down for parts. A bit like the Westland Lynx that we built before this. It's an absolute shame. Beautiful aircraft, but again, cut down for scrap. It's becoming a few of my aircraft that I've built. Not all of them got shot down during the wars, for example. Some of them were literally just cut up for scrap, parted and then cut for scrap. Absolute shame. I know this kit isn't the best, but the aircraft itself is a beautiful aircraft. And it's one of those iconic aircraft. Everyone talks about the Hurricane, the Spitfire, and all those other aircraft, but they don't think about the Westland Wasp, for example. There's not many left, sadly. There is one that I've seen, and it is actually on the Western Supermare Helicopter Museum. It does appear in that video. I'm planning on going back down there at some point because I've got a year's pass to go back down there to see it, to essentially see the aircraft again. So I'm going to make a specific point this time now to look at the Wasp as well. So thank you, Wasp. I know I'm not thanking the kit, the manufacturer, I'm thanking the aircraft. You were a beautiful aircraft. It's a massive shame that you weren't. Your kit was terrible, but you're a beautiful aircraft. So, normally at this stage, we would say, right, what am I going to do with all this spare time? I'm going to make you wait. Be evil. For a change, rather than tell you. So, one last thing before we go, fellow Rangers. This is a charity I have been officially given permission now to essentially put their logo up on the videos. Is Models for Heroes, they help through veterans through the British Armed Forces, is through the medium of model kits. So something like the Wasp, actually no, something better. something like the Hurricane, because pretty much it helps people with post PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder. Don't ask me to repeat that. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, yeah, pretty much essentially they've helped them through the aid of model kits and other ways. And it's a very good charity. I love the idea of supporting veterans in any way, shape, and form. They deserve our support. We wouldn't have the life that we have now without them, and they deserve to be looked after so much better than they are now. They really, really do deserve so much better. So much better. It bugs me, and I won't go into it because I can ramble on about it all day long. Right. Three things I really like about Models for Heroes. One, I will get an example. Right. I should have got that before I started filming this segment, but the way it is. Anyway, yeah. Right, there's three ways of supporting Models for Heroes. This is, like I said, one of the reasons why I like Models for Heroes. Pardon me. One, of course, financially, like all the other charities out there. Or two, if you've got a model kit at home and it's not been opened, and you know for a fact you're not going to get around to building it, you can donate that model kit rather than it going to the landfill or being wasted, sat there doing nothing. You can donate that model kit to Models for Heroes, where a veteran can build it. And they, like I said, they deserve it. Everything they get. Another way that you can support Models for Heroes, and you can do it through thanks to Airfix. Again, another reason why we're thanking Airfix on this video. Airfix, if you want to get in touch, emails in the description below if you want to support me. Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, in the third way is Airfix has their own model club. And what you do is, when you buy an Airfix kit like this, or type Tempest, for example, or there is flying arrows by here where you can collect these tokens, and if you get a certain amount you can redeem a kit if you're part of the Airfix club. I'm not part of the Airfix club, and this is why what I do regarding I'm collecting a few so that I can send a few of them at once rather than one or two now and again, is I'm collecting these flying arrows, these tokens, and essentially you can send, if you're not part of the club, you can send these tokens to Models for Heroes where they can redeem those tokens and build a kit, and essentially redeem the tokens and pick a kit, a model kit, and they do it on all Airfix. I'll show you another Airfix kit now. I was just about to call it a typhoon. It's not a typhoon. Don't panic, fellow rangers. I'm not going to get it wrong. On this Tempest, it's one token. On this Blackburn Buccaneer, which there will be one soon, a video of, I mean, 2 tokens. So it goes on from there. It depends on what kit you're actually building from, like these two. So anyway, definitely a well worth charity to look at to help. Links will be in the description below for Models for Heroes. And the email for the channel is in the description below. If you do have any model photos of your recent builds that you would like to show me. Anyway, till the next time, my fellow Rangers, I hope you all take care. keep doing what you enjoy doing. And this is Lone Ranger signing out.